Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Nice to see everyone. And tonight we are learning Parashat Behar and the holy words of Shimshon, Pincus. This week we read about the very important and famous mitzvah of Shemita. We'll share with you the first two verses of this week's Torah portion. Here they are. We are in Leviticus chapter 25, verses 1 and 2. So the first verse tells us, Vaydaber Hashem el Moshe behar Sinai lemor. And the Lord spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai, saying, second verse, Daber el bnei Yisrael v'amarta lehem, speak to the children of Israel, say to them, Ki tavo el haaretz asher ani noten lachem, when you will come to the land of Israel, the land that I will give you, v'shaveta haaretz Shabbat la'Adonai, and you shall rest, the land shall rest a Sabbath to the Lord. So the famous Rashi asks the question, how is it that when it comes to the Torah telling us about the commandment of Shemita, it mentions that it was given at Mount Sinai? Weren't all other mitzvahs also given at Mount Sinai? And he answers that it was to teach us that just as the mitzvah of Shemita was given at Mount Sinai, along with all of its details and intricacies, so too all other mitzvot, along with their details and intricacies, were also given at Mount Sinai to the Jewish people. So Rav Pincus now says, besides for the simple and basic understanding and explanation of this Rashi, we can also ask, why was the mitzvah of Shemita singled out as the one that'll be the example the Torah gives to teach us that all mitzvahs were given at Mount Sinai along with all their details? So Rav Pincus has a very, very specific view on how to answer this. He says that there's something that connects all mitzvahs to the mitzvah of Shemita. Because the truth is, the mitzvah of Shemita is unique and special. And it shines its light onto all the other mitzvahs. So let's remind ourselves, Rav Pincus says, that the Jewish people lived in the land of Israel. And when they were living in the land of Israel, they were living in an agrarian culture. That means a culture that everyone was farmers. They worked the land. They lived off the produce of the land. That's it. Being that this was the case, their livelihood solely depend on God's mercy and blessing. How much it would rain in the land of Israel. As the Torah says later, take a look at your screen. Leviticus chapter 26, verse 4. V'natati gishmechem be'itam, and I will give your rains in their time, v'natena haaretz yevula, and the land will yield its produce, v'etz hasadeh yiten piryo, and the tree of the field will give forth its fruit. Basically, clearly, the Jewish people were always dependent on Hashem's blessing to have rain. The Jewish people were not jewelers. They weren't in the Shemita business. They weren't into real estate. They were simply working the fields and orchards. So when any Jew nowadays comes into Shabbat and ceases from work, that's a clear expression that we're surrendering to God, and that we believe that one's parnasa, one's livelihood, comes directly from Hashem. But nevertheless, the concept of taking one day off of the week and not working, it's an accepted concept. And truth be told, it may not really interfere with how much one makes, one's livelihood. But in stark contrast, the mitzvah of observing Shemita is a whole year of not working in the fields. And that has a major influence and impact on one's ability to make a living. The consequences to one's livelihood for that year are disastrous. Included in those, in the mitzvah of not working on the land on the seventh year, is making sure to open up one's fields, that anyone can come take whatever they want, they can walk through. When it comes to lending any money, all loans are voided. So this is pretty serious. One who would fulfill all the laws of Shemita is only doing so as a clear expression of love and connection and surrender to Hashem and the Torah that he gave us at Mount Sinai. So this is what Rav Pincus is telling us, that the feeling and attitude that there is by Shemita, fully love and connection and surrender, has to be replicated to all other mitzvot. All of them. For example, if you're going to come and ask someone, why weren't you at the Torah class last night? Where were you? And he'll say, oh, I had an important business meeting and I couldn't make it. Or if you ask someone, why did you have to run out of the synagogue so early before the end of the tefillah? And then he says, And then he says, oh, I woke up late and I had to run out to work. And so many more examples of mitzvot that we make secondary to our money matters or business things or even vacations. This is why Shemita was the example mitzvah given. If Pincus says it's because we have to learn from Shemita that this mitzvah is fulfilled with complete trust and surrender to Hashem and the belief that He will provide, and that must apply to all of the mitzvahs. No excuse to fulfill the will of God. Even though we have other things to do, other priorities, we have money to make, places to go, people to see, there should be nothing more important than the Torah study, and the mitzvot, and fulfilling the mitzvahs. Later, the Torah says, and take a look at this. This is chapter 25 and verses 20 and 21. It says, "V'chi tomru ma nochal b'shana shev'it." We're going to say, what are we going to do the seventh year if we're not working it? Hen lo nizra v'lo nesaf et vuatenu. We didn't sow, we didn't gather our produce. You know what he says? V'tziviti et birchati lachem b'shana shishit. Hashem says, on the sixth year, you'll be blessed. And you're going to have 3 years of produce it will yield. It will yield the sixth year, the seventh year, and the eighth year to make up until you're back to normal. Hashem promises against what anyone would have thought, that if you place your trust in God, He will provide. He will see to it that you will have all you need, full of bracha. So we need to take this concept seriously. That even though nowadays we don't have fields and farms and we're not farmers, we don't work the land. But the question does come up from time to time. What should I do? I have a meeting, or do I go to shul? Do I go do my mitzvah? Or in general, one might think, how can I dedicate so much of my time to learning Torah, fulfilling mitzvot? I don't have any time. Who's going to provide for my family? The answer is, those that set time clear for learning Torah, fulfilling mitzvot, and for prayer, those have to be sacred times. The way we surrender to Hashem, and in turn, He will provide for us. Shmita is a model mitzvah. Rav Pincus says because it reminds us that we have to make our Torah and mitzvot our greatest priority, and then He will provide. And this is an amazing lesson of trusting in Hashem. And Rav Pincus is telling us that this concept applies today to all of the mitzvot as well, even though we don't have that test of Shemitah. Because most of us don't live in the land of Israel, and even if we do live in the land of Israel, we don't have farms. But this lesson of Shemitah is applied across the board, and that's why it's the model mitzvah. That's why it was used then as an example. Because we have to place our trust in Hashem and put always the Torah mitzvahs first, before anything else. If we do that, our kids will pick up on it, and hopefully they'll follow in the same way. Now, there's another concept where Pincus speaks about. This is fascinating. He says if we look at our pasuk, the second pasuk in this week's Torah portion, chapter 25, verse 2, Daber el bnei Yisrael v'amarta lahem, speak to the people of Israel, saying to them, Ki tavo la'aretz, when they come to the land, asher ani natan lachem, the land that I'll give them, shavta aretz shabbat l'Adonai. They have to rest for 1 year, meaning on the seventh year. From here we see Ki tavo el haaretz. From here we learn there's a command of Yishuv Eretz Yisrael. There's a mitzvah to live in the land of Israel, to settle, to occupy the land of Israel. And Rav Pincus says, he has a puzzling question. He says, if we look at Israel in modern times, we see so much beauty, so much holiness. But on the other hand, there's a lot of the opposite as well. We see many Jews who don't follow Torah and mitzvot, and they live in the land of Israel. How can it be that because of the observance of the mitzvah of fulfilling and living in the land of Israel, settling in the land of Israel, how could there be a result of so many secular and anti-Torah Jews that live in the land of Israel? Again, he's saying, if they are fulfilling the mitzvah, or if in general the Jewish people fulfilling the mitzvah, so many of them, of living in the land of Israel, how is it possible that Hashem could allow so many people to drift off so far? Now, we see that it is important indeed to live in the land of Israel. The Ramban Nachmanides tells us that the main and proper way to fulfill the mitzvot, all the mitzvot, is in the land of Israel. The Talmud also tells us in Masechet Ketubot that anyone who lives in the land, outside of the land of Israel, in the diaspora, it's as if they have no God. So how is it that we see such destruction and a divisive atmosphere in the land of Israel, when settling in the land of Israel is a mitzvah in and of itself? Reb Pincus wants to know. So he answers with a mashal, and listen to this. This is so powerful. So powerful. He says, imagine a newlywed couple. And they have great chemistry and great love and respect for one another, and they are fostering their relationship, etc. They just have one issue. It's actually a major issue. They don't have a house. They don't have a home. They have nowhere to live. On the other hand, take another couple. Newlywed. They have no relationship, no love, no respect for each other. They don't care too much. But they have a beautiful home, big home, fully furnished. What's the point, he says? The whole purpose of marriage and the whole purpose of the house is to serve as a place to build a relationship and a family with a strong connection to one another. Without the connection, the house is useless. So the purpose, Rav Pincus says, of the Jewish people doing mitzvot anywhere in the world at any time is to forge a connection and a relationship with him. We've spoken about this many times before. And the land of Israel is like the house that the Jewish people in Hashem have. It's that connection that we build, in the house. It's the greatest way to do mitzvot. But if there's no connection, then there's no point. If there's no connection being built through the mitzvot, then there's no need for the house. There's no need for the land of Israel, Rav Pincus says. And that is why those who live in Israel, without Torah and mitzvot, they're missing the whole point. The mitzvah of Yishuv Eretz Yisrael, of settling in the land of Israel, is one that could only be fulfilled when Torah and mitzvot are being observed. Without Torah and mitzvot, it's like any other place in the world, Rav Pincus says. This is powerful. This is major. So personally, I want to share with you, I just came back yesterday from the land of Israel after being there for a week. We saw all over the country. The amount of things we did in 6 days was record-breaking. We slept 2-3 hours a night. We saw so many different places, so many different types of people. Now, with this novelty that Pincus is sharing with us, we are always reminded to seeking that connection and relationship with Hashem. Yes, the land of Israel is so diverse, but those who appreciate and grow from the land of Israel the most are those who make it their home. Those who put Torah and mitzvot as a priority to build a connection and relationship with Hashem. Because that's the most important thing we have. So may Hashem give us all the merit that one day, very, very soon, we'll be able to fulfill our Torah and mitzvot in the land of Israel. The way we do it here, we'll do it much better there. Hopefully very soon, because that is like the couple, like the husband and wife, Hashem and Bnei Israel, having their home. And the land of Israel is our home. And it's only worth something if it's a home that's there to build a connection and relationship. And that, between us and Hashem, is the Torah and mitzvot. So just as a recap, Rav Pincus is telling us, firstly, the reason why Shemita was chosen as the model mitzvah is because this mitzvah reminds us that Torah and mitzvot are the number one priority have to be our number one priority, and that Hashem will always provide for us, just like observing of Shemita, Hashem will provide it. And the second concept is that the value of a mitzvah is all based on, is it making the connection between us and Hashem? Without that connection, it's useless. And the whole point of instilling the land of Israel is to build that relationship and that connection. So Hashem bless us, B'ezrat Hashem, that we'll have very strong emunah bitachon, belief and trust in Hashem, and that B'ezrat Hashem, all of our Torah mitzvot will be there to build a stronger connection between us and Hashem. Amen. Amen.